I will call to order the Lincoln City Council Special City Council meeting. Today is Thursday, August 28th, 2025, and it is 6 p.m. It's staff of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just turned the sound system on. Did you guys want to try your mics again?
Oh, there we go. I'm like, I know she turned it on. Yeah, so if we could take the roll call, please.
Artavia, here. Davis,
Here.
Ernstead,
Here.
Mayor Burton,
Here. First we have the agenda approval.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a first by Councilwoman Davis, second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. We will have it noted that we need to ratify that there was a vote for our preliminary budget. We did do approval line item approvals, but we didn't actually do the approval of the preliminary. It's just a formality because we approved all of it, but we do need to have a roll call vote for that.
Okay.
So
Do we need a motion at all or just a roll call? Just a roll.
I believe it's just a roll call, but we might as well have a motion also.
Make a motion to approve the preliminary budget of 2025
And that was for the August 8th meeting.
for August 8th meeting.
Okay, so we have a first by Councilwoman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. Thank you for housekeeping. Oh, and roll call, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Artavia,
Yes.
Ernstead.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. All right, so now we will leave this for the auditor to go through.
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna discuss is I moved the money out of the water fund, so if you went to the kind of the back of the packet where the water fund is. Page 27 in the back. Page 28. So on the water fund, on the bottom where it says transfers out. I transferred out the 224,000 that you asked, and then if you go over to the sewer fund on page 30. It'll show the transfer in at the 225. And then there could ask if it goes into the ATM. That is where it's placed. No questions on that? The other two items were the highway fund, which is in front of the water fund. I did move the 60,000 that you guys had discussed into the tar equipment and the expenditure, the tar equipment plastic. The $60,000 that was agreed upon went into that account.
And that is for which page?
26. Oh, sorry.
26 in the back, page 26.
Right, that's 60,000, but with that, the transfer in that 120.
Yes, that's coming out of the general fund. And then the other two items that you guys had discussed was taking, if you go way to the back to sewer backup fund on page 36, you guys had asked me to remove the interest there. I did remove that. and I removed the interest from, the forestry fund and put them both into the, building fund.
Okay, those are transfer outs because this is just. So that should have been. Okay.
That ink was actually, I got out of the general fund, like, in one of those. That's what happened. So,
Have you heard anything about that employee pension?
no, we're still waiting, for Monty and Gavin to clarify.
Okay.
The other thing that I just wanna mention, that is going to be a little different from the prior, preliminary, budget was that we, the social security fund. Because it has to go into, which is page. More towards the, excuse me. That's gonna come out to a zero balance for 2026. It's page 10.
Beginning of zero balance.
So what has to happen is for 2026, it has to be absorbed into the general fund as a line item and no longer it's separate.
Okay. Entity.
Entity or account, is that how you say?
It's on transfer.
It's all fund, I mean, you're.
The Monty did get back asking, a couple questions for the employee pension fund. So I was looking into when the last transfer in was and when the last transfer out was. And it was just the difference between, the wording of saying the balance plus interest or the balance as of. And the date, so I was just looking into some dates for him, and just have to get him back, and then that will determine what language is used for the.
Okay, so he hasn't found any issue with.
No, he
taking it out.
emailed saying this wording or this wording would be best if we know what, because he wanted to know why we were using January 1st of 24 or something, and why we were saying that, and then wanted to know when was the last in, when was the last out, and that, so.
Okay.
I'll be giving that to him.
Thanks, Tam.
Thank you.
And then other than that, I did all the leaves. And each fund, we did everything at the 4.5%. That's the board for everybody. So, some of those wages and stuff will be a little higher than they were.
I do have. A thought about, one of the salaries, because when we were talking about, we're gonna be taking a look at job duties, job descriptions, where that fits in for the city of Lincoln and whatnot. And I got to a thought where it was like, okay, PD is now taking a portion of their budget for administrative work that's performed by our administrative assistant in the office. So I did some looking around. She was hired at more the front office, answering their phones, greeting people coming in, taking care of things like that. Well, now she has taken on additional duties. Not only is she doing the police department admin work, she's also doing billing and beautification and taking care of all of those things. So I went on, looked at a few of the other municipalities with those additional duties assigned in excess of what she was paid to do, and I had just thought that because what I have seen with is that align with those responsibilities, it's more in those mid-20s. He's currently at 21. So I had hoped that council would consider increasing her salary due to the increased duties that she is performing. So it's $23.
Is she still on a probation period?
Right, but this would be adjusting her salary, not a raise. this is adjusting the salary for the additional duties that she is performing in the office.
I would be amicable to that.
I mean, I'm always of the opinion that a position is worth a certain number, and if you're finding that similar positions with similar duties are paying somewhere around the $23 an hour amount, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be there.
Okay, and I guess just to make sure there's money in the budget. Just what we're,
we do have, the funding in our budget. We have Stephanie in there as a full-time employee and, we don't really know when she's coming back. So we would have that in our budget.
Are we transitioning that then? Or is she staying as full-time?
She's staying part-time and
the clerk of court.
coming back to full-time,
We can't say when, we don't know when.
So on the books for right now, is it part-time or budget wise?
No, on the books, we have her budget in there as a full-time.
Okay.
Just not expending her salary, correct? Dollars.
And auditor and deputy auditor. Other office, employees, they're at the same rate as other as well, right? We're not,
The only reason I had looked at it, well, I've looked at some because we're, we'll see that we're looking at 7th grade and how that aligns with, job duties and whatever. And the only reason I even thought to take a look was because part of the budget was going, because of the PD's budget. Made me think, okay, well, what is she doing now? And looking at some of the job duties for other ones, it
Right.
seems that we're more in line currently with the salaries that we have. I'm not saying that there's not adjustments that need to be made once we start looking at, rate 7th grade and all of those throughout the rest of the year, but this one specifically I have looked at because of the PD looking or taking on some of that stuff.
so with that, we wouldn't need another office position then, right? Would that still be
No.
on the books? That's not on the books for, right?
We have additional funding in, that was in here for the new. I don't really wanna call it a city administrator, but whatever it gets
Position.
changed, which
Right.
we discussed just a little bit after this. Discussions. After the.
Just
budget
making sure that
discussions.
we don't have all of those in the budget, and then we're not having extra or enough.
Right, and this would be specific to just that one. Yeah.
If the clerk of court comes back full time, would we be at risk for the office going over budget with a raise to the other position? For the adjustment to the other position?
We would not be, but it depends on that, so the salary that we put in for the new hire. Went in at 70,000 and until you guys know which. Whatever that, position,
I should have been more clear. I guess I was referring to adjusting.
right, but what I'm saying, for 2026, the money is there, including the new one, and without knowing what you guys are going to pay her, we would be okay.
I guess what I would be looking for if it pleases the council with a motion to approve the salary adjustment.
What's the name of the position? Is it office or?
It is administrative assistant. Now,
This is Ashley's position.
Yeah.
So nothing's changing.
Yeah, I'm just wondering as far as like making a motion for the wage of that position.
If you're gonna go and talk about step and grade, I would do that. If you're gonna change and go with that, then it's a mute motion.
but I don't believe we're gonna be taking any action on 7th grade. This is,
I was asked to do it for this budget thing, so That's why I did it.
So would there be a motion?
I'd make a motion to upgrade, the administrative assistant salary based on, extra duties taken on,
We have
23 an hour.
first by Councilwoman Artavia. A second,
I'll second.
a second by Councilman Bjornsted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
If we could get the roll call, please.
Fabian,
Yes.
Lewis,
no,
and Bjornstad,
Yes.
All right. And so that doesn't have anything to. I guess that would go September 1st. Since we're so close to the end of the month. Okay.
I'd say whoever's doing payroll has time to make it happen for it.
All right. I did not ask for public comment. I apologize. Have there been any comments that have come to the office? No, all right, well, first call for public comment. Second call for public comment. And third and final call. Seeing none, we'll carry on. With our preliminary budget.
so. We haven't approved step and grade. We're just looking, like, these are the printouts of step and grade. That makes it fun.
I know I wasn't in attendance for your guys' last meeting, so I kind of just watched it basically, and then seeing that you, Councilman Buren said that asked if it was gonna be step and grade was gonna be looked at for this budget season. So that's what I started doing, put about a week of time into it. Mainly started with the North Dakota League of Cities, you know, in comparison, populations down from 2,000 up to 8,000. I have gone on the email, I looked at some of the towns that I had done in my comparisons of what they pay. The salary surveys are available to anybody, everybody on there for 2024 is what they were on there for. I also looked at all of the surrounding areas, your competition, towns of Bismarck, Mandan, Burley County, Warren County, where they can even go to work with, what they're offering for pay. I did follow kind of the Burley County step and grade from how the process increases per percentage in each step. Going to the max of your midpoint and then coming back down. That's exactly the same as Burley County. As for the steps, when you start on your first step, the comparison, I kind of looked at all the places that were currently on step and grade. And they started anywhere between 1250 to 1339. Terry, there was somebody in the waiting room to admit for the,
I got it.
okay. From 1250 to 1339, so I just went with another one that they had started theirs at 1258. And then what you do is you take a certain percentage in between each step of an increase to give the gap in the grade. And then the higher the grade, the higher the percentage that you go in between for each grade. The highlighted ones are the current people in positions here.
And then the documentation for where you got the numbers.
Do you want me to go get the staff information? Yeah.
Well, I
can do that.
Well, we've already approved the 4.5 across the border. Within the next,
Just know all this information will change if you wait till next year and then they'll do
Right.
the adjustments.
but, we are, by the end of the year, we're looking at our job descriptions, duties that, and titles that the city staff have. So it may be prudent to stick with our 4.5 that we've already approved for the preliminary and take this time to wait until we have those job descriptions and the duties and titles for all of our positions before we approve a step and grade at any rates. So we can make sure that not only are our duties, responsibilities, the structure of the city and comparable, that it actually mirrors what should be on here. Because we don't want, we need to, as of today, we probably should have more information specifically where the numbers come from. But,
We had the step and grade information too printed out last year. Went through it all as well for budget. And most of it came from like the cities.
yes. And. But then we also have to remember that. The positions. Just because it has a title, a job title for a position. Does not equate to the duties that are
No, but I think
performed.
that goes with almost everything though, right? You have a title and you have duties.
Right.
So I mean, duties always change. And even seasonally too, most of the time. So I mean, just because, duties are put in one way. Have to change, because we always change them.
Right.
I did look at them.
I'm-
These two for all the other places and have them printed out. When you say you want more information or where the information came from, what are you looking for? So I can put together.
Okay, so, what are the requirements for people in the positions that we have? That equate the positions in Lincoln to the positions in Bismarck or Mandan or Bergen County. Or in Valley City, you've got, let's just say a police chief. Typically they would have a criminal justice degree, a certain number of years for experience, which thankfully he has. So we're very happy about that.
One of the job descriptions was from Penema, North Dakota for a public works technician for starting at $24 an hour. I did all these comparisons when I looked at this information.
Yes, and I haven't looked specifically at that information for this, so we'll just throw public works technician. Is that equate to the public works director as a title for the city of Lincoln?
No, that's just a simple public works employee.
Well, not simple, that's a supervisory position.
Technician, it was.
Or not technician, but we don't have any of that information in front of us.
That's why I'm asking, what would you like? I have staff at my desk, I could go make copies, I don't.
And that would be great, because then we would have that here to take a look at. But I would think that we need a little more information and work on this. Like I said,
But we went through
we've
this
already
last year.
approved the 4.5 increase for all the city employees. I think we should utilize that adjustment for
The preliminary.
this budget cycle. To allow us to take a bigger dig into the job positions. We'll even take a look so far as the city administrator, and here's where I started thinking about it. We have the administrator, and it was brought to my attention that wasn't necessarily a good job title. because city administrators typically have public administration degrees. They work, the assumption is that a public administrator would be like Mandan or Bismarck has. That would not be what we're using it. Okay, so there again, we have a title of,
It doesn't necessarily match the responsibilities.
correct. So, and that was one thing that our deputy auditor had put in her email too. But this was a citizen that brought it up to me because, well, we're not big enough to need a city administrator. Well, it wouldn't be a city, and this is what I had said to this individual, it's not going to be a city administrator to the level, but it's somebody that's going to do policy, maybe ordinances, doing grant work and stuff like that. So it was suggested, maybe we should take a look at a different title, and I think that's what the auditor was mentioning here a little earlier as far as the job title of public or city administrator. To where we would go more towards that policy and ordinance or grants or however council wants to have that, but we are working so much on aligning duties, the responsibilities, and where individuals are gonna fall once we get that done. That it seems we're putting the cart before the horse when we're talking about approving and enacting a step and grade for positions that maybe aren't going to align this way.
Yeah.
Or 5 months.
When you say align, what do you mean?
I-
When you say align, that our job descriptions currently right now don't align. Align with what?
Your duties are gonna change as a deputy auditor. If somebody comes in that city administrator or policy or whatever, so yours might change. The auditors might change a little bit, the admin person might change a
But it
little
won't,
bit,
it would,
so. Will there be different job titles? Will we have the job duties, job descriptions? That we need to take a look at?
I don't think diving deeper into duties per se is necessary. But that's just my opinion. And I think,
Sorry, Amanda.
that's okay, and I think if we're
Yes, Councilwoman Davis.
looking at a position, I, as a council member, don't feel comfortable creating a random position unless it actually has a specific title, you know what I mean? Like an administration assistant or whatever the title may be, but I just don't feel comfortable with choosing duties and coming up with a title and saying, okay, now this is a new position that we have. You know what I mean?
It
That's
wouldn't
just
be,
me.
it's just taking a look at what, it's not changing, the only position that would possibly have a change in name. Would be that city administrator position.
Exactly,
Just
my point.
because people are talking about, well, we're not big enough for a city administrator because that implies you're gonna get 6 figures. And,
But that doesn't though.
but when you have, people looking at League of Cities or, police chief or police officers or public works or admin and saying, this is the salary we're gonna put in here, and I'm not saying that was done, I'm just using an example. That we're gonna put that in there, we need to make sure that what we have as a city. Somebody doing is comparable to that title. So just because it's city
Which I think
administrator,
we have every year when we go over the budget, we make sure that per title, per employee position, that those duties are being met to get that specific raise or salary, because we wanna make sure that that position is fulfilling their duties and we wanna pay that position per the duties that they're fulfilling. So I don't think that we're not doing that. And you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure we've been pretty online, especially with bringing up step and grade even last year. When Praska brought it up, we went through the whole rigmarole and step by step of how that would play out. New to me, so it's kind of foreign at that point, right? So I wasn't necessarily ready to jump all in with it. Am I ready to jump all in with it now? Maybe not, but I like doing it and I like looking
Oh,
at it.
I think it's absolutely
I think that-
necessary, and I think that we need to go to this, so we are. Being consistent. With between all of the departments.
Mayor Kirkland, if I may. Excluding a city administrator or whatever we call a position. Do you feel that any of these current titles and duties that currently fall under these titles for the city's employees, do you think they would change enough that it would have really much bearing on what they're currently being paid?
Currently, as of today, and the 4.5 that we have put in for 2026, yes, that they would all fall within that. If we change salaries because of job titles, then it would not be in line, in my opinion.
Like your opinion, if we switch to the stepping grade, you think some positions are not going to be paid appropriately?
Correct.
So you think that the titles that would be associated with the stepping grade would be assumed more duties than what our employees are performing?
For the job titles plus,
That like you think our employees would have fewer duties that are
fewer responsibilities.
Can you elaborate on what?
I think it's important that we take a look at job duties, the job titles. And compare those, the qualifications, possible degrees or certifications required in other municipalities to align with some of our staff and where that would fall. I don't think it would be prudent for us to approve this step and grade tonight to implement it. We've approved the 4.5 for 2026. And that was motion approved by everybody. And I would just like that to fall through the 2026 budget cycle, which would allow us to take a look at job duties, qualifications, and the needs of the city, and align that to whatever step and grade that we as council approve. Whether we do an arch with instead of doing the 2% that had previously been presented. In sense that, we do the 2.5 and the 2.6 and the 2.7, the 2.8. If it is better financially for the city of Lincoln to do the strictly 2% like we had discussed. If we're taking a look at the duties, one of the things that I had presented at the last budget meeting is to take a look at the job duties, responsibilities, not only being applicable to towns on the same size or population that the city of Lincoln has, but also take into effect the makeup of the city. And, you know, the 2 square miles versus, 20 miles for the city. And how that might possibly take. Some of those duties on.
Yeah,
So,
I don't-
and
Sorry, when you look at different towns and certain things, like the job descriptions are not gonna.
they're never going to perfectly align, I understand.
Alright, so I'm just wondering, when you look at like, so the deputy auditor and flasher does everything, does less than what I do, but gets paid more, is that into consideration?
I have not looked.
I'm just asking, because then you're gonna look at like the public works here, they do everything. They don't have one person for streets, one person for water, one person for wastewater, if that happens. I'm just like, when you look at job descriptions, how are you gonna measure what our job descriptions are against somebody else?
We don't have any of those in front of us, so I can't.
You're just saying you have no clue about how you kind of measure it.
I guess, Mayor Berglund, I was under the understanding that perhaps this is information that we were gonna begin to gather and have as a board, and then go through it carefully and with some time. I thought I understood that we were gonna have
Yeah.
time to really look at everything. But, I don't know if I missed something, but
That was I have no intention of approving. Or moving forward with a second read of this meeting.
I agree, that it's very prudent. I'm very appreciative of all of this carefully documented information. I think it's excellent. But I personally would like the time to go through it all. And then for us to come together and share our thoughts and, our findings so that we can make the best decision going forward.
And that might come with having some more of the information that was gathered to come up with the numbers, what cities, job descriptions and what all of those.
And you want those like put together in a packet and emailed, or like how? I just give me a list of what you
I'm an
want.
old fashioned person who wants everything in paper, but that's just me. I can always print it out.
And to gather the best information you want, job descriptions. From every department that we have in comparison to other towns of the same population.
I mean, if you already have that information, it would be wonderful.
Not everybody's hiring right now, so they don't have job descriptions out there, but have to call someone.
But whatever that,
Right,
whatever you've used to put together, if we can have access to that, that would be amazing.
It's a nice stack over there.
And that would be perfect if we could all take a look at that to see where these numbers come from. I did also go in and look at, which is why I know. As far as our front office staff. I had gone on for a state of North Dakota, city, county, Mark County, Bismarck, Burley County, they were all involved, looking through their job openings. And a lot of that did align, which is why I said earlier, that our salaries don't seem to be out of line with other local municipalities. They had a couple heavy equipment, which is some of the things that our public works do, a little bit higher than what we have, but not necessarily significant. They might use backhoes and things like that. We've got office staff. But there was a deputy auditor position, there were a couple office staff, there was public works, and there were people. And depending on where you are, in the state, the western part of the state, they pay more, but we kind of do not. It's like what was, but that.
We caught up to you last year.
Yes.
We made a big jump last year with the budget, and we definitely caught up with looking at stepping grade in other areas in the state to see how far we really were off.
And that's why I'm just. And I haven't looked at every position on here, but when we're looking at significant salary increases, I just think it's prudent that we take a look and ensure that it's where we should be before we take that step.
I was actually gonna ask. with all the step and grade information that you gathered, do we have an idea? How large of a difference just salary speaking for the budget that would change?
Like flat dollar amount,
Yeah.
I think it was 20,000 more for public works, police department was still under their.
Okay, so then, I know you do have some of these numbers listed in the corner.
Yes.
Like office, public works, police department. Are those the total of the step and grade? Is that how much this step and grade would increase the salaries, or what are those numbers?
Those are the salaries, the steps that are highlighted. Those are the totals from those for each department.
Okay, so like the office is listed as two
Square box.
hundred 65,090
The
and
orange.
76 cents. That would be the total salary for the office based on second grade.
Current staff, yes, and then on the bottom under that is either the 70,000 for the city administrator, or if change the title and it's a different pay amount, that is not included in there, because I wasn't sure what way you would go.
And that's helpful too, is just knowing, you know, what exactly is what.
And one of the things that we have to talk about is what we're going to use, because, one of the things, is it going to be employment with the city of Lincoln? Or is it going to be, employment in another agency, or, allowing that as part of our step and grade? So if you got somebody who has, we'll just say auditor, it's kind of 1 year as an auditor, are we gonna take the 4 or 5 years before in account for our step and grade, even though our salary ranges from here to here? Are we going to do that for the police department, or is it going to be specific? You come in at grade 1 or step 1 and build from them.
think that is general, that way we're not picking favors, choosing, you know, who gets what. Being fair across all of those, that would be that.
And I think that's the practice that we have done.
It's my opinion, or other opinion, my opinion, you guys should be involved experience, because that's more likely why they hired in the first place. Based off of that, rather than hiring somebody who is year 1 just getting started.
So then how would you, and I'm just posing another view here. So if we post a position and the pay is gonna be between $5 and $10, but then to select a candidate and pay them $20 an hour. Then look at the people that we may have, and this is
Right.
just for conversation, then we may have discouraged somebody else from applying. Because we're not starting with our step, or somebody comes in and say we hired another administrative assistant. And the base salary for that individual was 25. And we've got employees at 23. You know, you need to have a starting point, and especially if you're gonna be posting for $1.
And you wanna have a base to work up to, you know, you don't wanna come in and make everything right away. I mean, it'd be great.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point of that stuff, and your pay is based on your years of experience.
Right.
And those are things that we'll have to talk.
But there's still
about.
room for improvement, you know what I mean, like, you don't wanna start at your end game, you know what I mean?
No, but
You wanna start where your
that's why we have.
starting game, you know what I mean, you wanna continue to keep moving forward and keep thinking more, you know? So we don't wanna start somebody to where they can't then improve it anywhere, you know what I mean?
Well, they will get their standard. Whatever we do, if we follow Burley County. With, 2 to 3, depending on, where they fall. In that arch, or if we strictly do the 2%, then like the police chief had said, you get 2% every year. Was fixed into that step and grade, and then all that we would, as a council, be required to do is decide on that. Hold up, that cost of living bonds. So, and that's where it takes away our discussion and goes strictly with this. So, go ahead.
Okay, Mayor, can I ask a question? So as you're going through this whole process, you're looking at job descriptions and saying that some of them can change. Is there a possibility that, and I'm speaking for all of us, that our wages could go down?
No.
For anybody?
No, I would say that that would not. No. I'm just saying that as we're looking forward, we've already approved that 4.5. I don't think that tonight there should be any change to that.
And the 4.5% mayor's totals of in the packet right here.
Yes. Right, for the preliminary that we've already approved, it's the 4.5, we already voted on that. That's why I personally would like to see it stay that. And then as we, not we, but as staff takes a look at aligning positions and developing those job descriptions, they may or may not change. You know, we don't know, but we're adding another position. We've already voted for that. We're looking at the, if we do the wastewater facility, you know, we're gonna have another position for that, or switching duties, so there's gonna have to be a job description for that. So I would just like us to take some time, really look at what we as a city have currently, where we anticipate it being. And making our decisions with all of the information ahead of us.
I have a question. Since we did vote on the preliminary, can we vote to do the second grade at this point, essentially increasing that budget?
My understanding is we can't go down, or we can go down, but we can't go up.
Okay, so we can't even vote to enact the second grade since it would increase the budget, right?
Yes. Now,
So isn't this all kind of a new target and
yes, but that does not negate the fact that we need to get second grade. So,
sort down?
right, now, that being said, that doesn't mean that there can't be salary adjustments because of job duties.
So,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
so if, say we do, okay, so we have the administrative position and the deputy audit position. If she takes on more responsibilities as the administrative assistant, which we've already discussed what she has. So we're going through the job duties of deputy auditor. If she permanently takes on those duties of HR and we don't go outside to hire somebody to come.
That was gonna be my next question.
So that would change her job description. Because these are gonna be specific for the city of Lincoln, not the job titles that Bismarck or Mandan has. These are specific for us. So as our deputy auditor, her job duties would be this, this, and this, and this HR part, and that HR part, so there may be a salary adjustment that needs to be made to get her to a different level,
As long as those funds are already given.
as far as they're all, or as long as they're already in there. So it's not a matter of decreasing anybody's salary. It's just, if we don't know what those duties are going to be 4 or 5 months from now, it's hard to put them in here. Because the job title may be different later.
What job titles, yeah, they're gonna be changing.
Right, so that deputy auditor position might be, deputy auditor, HR generalist. So, I mean, or it could be that one person has two positions, each of them part-time. Or however that works.
So if we're,
Director shoot. Did you?
if we're, are we still going to post or entertain then, administration position if we are already then delegating duties and setting a raise to admin?
No, those would be specific duties to what she is currently doing. Our city administrator or our policy,
Cause if she's doing
Technician, I
those
guess, I don't-
duties, do we really need?
no, she's not doing those duties, because the person that the job title or the job duties that we had approved were more of looking for grants, doing ordinances, and policy regulation enforcement updates, that type of stuff, and those are things that are currently not being done. Those are things that are being done by our attorney, whether that be on the,
And our subject, right?
Right.
We're doing some of those.
yeah. So that position is independent of the applicants. Those duties would be specific to whatever we fill in on that job
Right.
posting or that job description. That is separate from what the admins are.
Okay, so. Deputy Auditor has said that she will gather the information that she has to compile all this and get that to us. And it's not a decision that I feel like the council is wanting to move forward with at this time, is that right? Right,
Correct.
so I would like to continue on with my discussion on the next point if we can.
So I believe that we're getting copies of the information that was gathered and will include that.
Mayor Bergen, can I ask that you guys important for us to, determine what the new position is going to be? Is that something we can discuss a little bit? It's really hard to put something out there when we don't know what it's going to be.
Are we a couple months out yet on that?
Yeah, we have to, January 1st, because this would be for 2026 for that position.
So my recommendation or my thoughts, I guess, would be that we look into the duties, the roles that we're looking specifically for, and then that we, each one of us look into that a little bit so that we can all feel comfortable with what it is specifically that we're looking for, and then we can come together again to discuss that.
And I know that the deputy auditor had gone in and taken some of the duties that we had on the preliminary sheet that was handed out and looked for some of those responsibilities, and they are aligned. And I think she said in that email 25. Maybe a little over.
She has on that in the, on the secondary, maybe a grant and ordinance technician at 25.15. That is whatever you guys just.
And that's, that was, we had listed 70,000, and that was just a number that was plugged in to give us a ballpark of what it would be, and it would not be to that level, it'd be significantly less.
So Mayor, what other duties would you foresee this admin fulfilling?
I think that's out of realm of what we're supposed to discuss today. Those are things that we're gonna look at a regular council meeting. The salary, I guess we could intertwine some of that, but without it being permanent in a hard. We don't want to change the numbers per se, but it would be more along the lines of updating our ordinances. When council starts taking a look at. We'll just use beautification as an example. Okay, so now we're all taking a look and saying. These are things that are going on within the city, these need to be addressed, or those don't need to be addressed. Crushed asphalt instead of the concrete and things like that. So. Once council made a decision on what was going to be done, they would have this policy or technician. Do the research and put together those ordinances, the draft ordinance that would come to the council. Council would say, yes, no, we like this, we don't like that, and then it would go to the attorney to do the final touches on it. If there was a point where we wanted to replace all the stop signs within the city. You know, is there a grant available for this? So that person would go vote for grants. You know, now obviously that isn't one of them, that was, I just looked out the window and saw the stop sign. So,
Makes sense.
you know, just stuff like that.
Okay.
Or if we have community members.
Just so we
that-
know what we're looking for when we're, diving into duties and stuff, because I don't want to just.
Right, cause the
Plus
attorney.
something that they're doing,
Yeah, no, and right now that's not. On anybody's duty for right now, that's why we're paying the attorney $300 an hour to do the things, the research. For the city, that we could be paying somebody $25 to $26 an hour versus $300.
So perhaps if we can just get a clarification on the roles and responsibility specifically for that position so that we can do, our piece to come together and revisit that. And if you're having to back into the budget purpose for the meeting.
So. But I do like if we don't have a specific city administrator, it goes from 6 figure to a more realistic.
I don't think anybody's resources that should be 6 figures. For
Right.
what we expect them to be doing right now.
Right, but when you have a title of city administrator. The implication is that you're going to have. Other duties, and that's just what was brought to me, because I had. Put in their city administrator, it's like, wait a minute, we're gonna go down, we should take a look at. This and this and this, because that will be the expectation. So it's just aligning that. Job description, the posting to what we need as a city, your point of, okay, or ask our city attorney, what are the things that you foresee being able to be done on our end of it? You have more of an insight that I made. The HR was one issue, and the administrative. Okay, so.
Okay.
Auditor, did you have things in here?
No, I just wanted to touch base on the general worksheet, the general fund worksheet for the safety. And now that you guys have talked in the meeting, he was at 1,025,925, and then cutting numbers and putting numbers, and I know that it was mentioned to be around that 940, and I can't get it to 940. What page? I'm sorry, I'm on. So when you go to the general fund. It says like page 4 or 5. General. Right in the middle, yeah.
I think page 5 is listed on mine, so it must be page after that.
That's maybe right after that.
That's been 15.
So you got the general government. And then the one, I'm sorry, general fund expenditures, and then the next one was the public safety. You guys, because I wasn't here, I know that you guys in discussions had asked for to see about that 940. I can't get it to 940, I did best, at 959, 951. That includes almost $99,131
By May.
from the police department, taking on Ashley's.
Did you have a spreadsheet where you guys brought down that 940? I believe we had
That was after we added, we had not added in the 4.5% because we didn't know
Oh, okay.
what it was gonna be, so the 4.5% plus the 20% we did for
Ashley.
Ashton.
So, that is the final number with the 4.5 and with adding Ashley in there.
What about, just because I'm looking at the Bismarck Transit, did we reach out to them?
I haven't talked to them, I haven't gotten a call back, but, I know you negotiated last year at 10,000. I put it back in at the 15,000, just in case we can't negotiate that again, because gas has got, it's everything's gone up. And then the only other thing is, again, back to, the sewer fund, and trying to figure out, I'm sorry, the, sewer regionalization, I don't have really any funding in there because we don't have any numbers to put.
Yeah, we don't know. So what does that do? Once we do make that decision? Are you able to make changes?
Well, that would be money that will come in, you're not gonna
Oh.
change the,
Expenses?
we're not in 2026, so we're not going to change this, it'll just be as it comes in and. At this point, these are your numbers, this is where we're at. Again, you don't know if for. With sort of regionalization, if you're doing your own, building your own water.
So what do we need to do as a council?
I also called another special hearing because of the because I wasn't here on the 8th. You guys have requested some changes, wanted for that verification that it was done, it's in here.
Or essentially sent until the public hearing.
Correct, unless you guys feel that you would need an additional hearing.
Really don't.
So
We don't
or
seem
more changes at this point.
So then, for Tammy, since she's, or Auditor Erman, since she's not in here, you're asking her to gather more information, look into the duties, of each job description and the roles and responsibility, and then to, finish getting that job description for her.
For the new position.
I wonder about the formatting on this. I wonder if there's a way for us to do a little bit of a different formatting and,
Can we ask Auditor Erman,
yeah, I thought you were just writing down the stuff that
Yeah.
we were gonna, okay.
but, that was all her, so I have no.
Yeah, I just thought maybe if you were writing down the
Yep, I am.
clarifications, that maybe that's something that we could ask for.
But what are you looking at specifically?
I'm having a hard time reading the format. Maybe, I don't know if it could be put into
the
a
titles.
Excel, yeah, if it could just be clarified a little bit more. And then like the highlighted and the colored things, if there could be
Explanation
an
of what is what.
explanation or a key for that or something.
Maybe it's supposed to describe with her for a second, so that she could even verify that with everything.
And then one thing that would help too is if we decide, what are we going to do, if we post a job. And a salary is on there. Or, I guess, and just one of the things to think about as we're taking a look at. Aligning those job duties. That. What are we gonna do? Is everybody coming in at a step 1? And building off of that, because they're being hired at that step 1 rate? Or. And I don't know, that may be one thing that she has to take a look at, can we do that? Or, the admin and public works, but then because this specific experience that would be required for somebody coming into the PD, can we do a separate for them? As far as allowing some of them, but then you also have somebody coming in for 10 years in a public works position too, so I don't know how that would work, that might be
For
something you have.
like really counting the most when they do a new hire with experience, the department head picks steps between 1 and 5 of where they want to place them, and if they want to go higher than a step 5, then they get council or commissioners.
So when you post a job like that, because you wanna know, okay, and you put in there in a municipality that you will have. Minimum salary is this, depending on experience, and not put the step and grade.
Most of
In
them
the
put a minimum
posting.
of maximum, so they put the low end of their grade that they're at. And then they put the high end, so they have your max that you're gonna make, you have your.
Yeah, just be that fifth step, like, the list for.
From what I've seen, it varies. Some of them put the whole amount on there. Like the public works director puts the highest amount, which was some of them, no, 1,000. Even with the low end of starting, it's.
Which is nice to look at.
But you guys
see what
will
you
be
have.
doing copies right now.
Well, and the one thing is, if you have. Most places don't post their step and grade, it's
They are
very,
online.
very difficult to find a whole lot of them, especially in the smaller towns. But, in Oberlin County, they have theirs out there.
I think more and more are starting to post it because more people are just seeing too what is in store for them in that position.
Yeah, so if we say, your step might be, or the grade is going to be this, but the step depending on experience. And that way they can go online and look at what, so, sorry, so. And again, that's kind of getting out of the weeds of this, but go ahead.
Okay, so my question was, is there a way for us to put this in a different format and can we have a key to explain the colors? Cause I don't see anything that's helping to understand the numbers like across the top.
And I think those are the
Those are the
steps
steps.
or the year. Kind of experience.
You're very, like your admin assistant, I estimated her at grade 11. Because she started at 1, not through salary. The orange is what she would get going into her first year.
So is the step 1 the yellow numbers?
That's what she started at. That's their grade, that's the
Right.
first step, that's the minimum somebody would get
I
paid
was
for.
saying that this would be the salary for starting out as a step 1, step 2 would be that next level.
So when you say different format, you go pretty much.
It's just hard to read. I'm having a hard time reading it.
Were you able to look at the Excel one on your email?
No, I wasn't. But maybe I can print it out in Excel out for me.
It'll print out the same.
Okay. Is it meant to just go like this, the way that I'm looking at it now? Okay,
And I put midpoints, so on the second page, your midpoint, that's where you peak at the highest percentage of the 3.1% increase, and then from that, it starts to go down. Those small numbers in between the salary amounts are the percentage that step increases.
3.3, 2.95.
Yeah, so 3.1 is the highest. For example, last year Bismarck gave 2 steps plus COLA. So it's not set, you're not set at just doing 1 step plus COLA, or it's not even you can increase it more than just 1 step per year.
I'm sure with all the other information that you've compiled, this will make more sense.
The symbols on my notes make sense too.
Well, and then, as we go through this, it'll be nice to be able to maybe have Anything set aside, or should they talk us through, this is this, because we'll also take a look at, you know, do we want to do a step up, then a step down, or do we want to do a straight percentage, like the chief had presented at that 2%? So everybody is consistent with where they are. Fine, but that will come when we start digging. So, no motions other than with the other things that we need to do.
No.
Just at this,
We have these ordinances, it's just for our.
Right, for the next council.
Okay.
and we're gonna start taking a look at the notification. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, if there's nothing in between our in front of council, it's 7:11 and we call this meeting adjourned.